Game Radio.
I'm looking like what?
But if I'm winning,
Flowers and mushrooms and
Hi guys, welcome back to Good Game Radio. In tonight's episode, the crew here at Good Game Radio we're just talking about Elden Ring. So we all been playing it for over a week now. Clint's beaten it like 30 times. No, 3, right?
I am, but I haven't beaten it on the third one.
Okay. Well, slacker. Vance and I are still on our first playthroughs, and we are tonight just sitting back and having some general conversation, talking about what we've experienced, what we're working on, and just various stuff that deals with the game. So sit back, relax, enjoy the chit chat conversation style method that we're having in this particular episode.
It's the Bloodhound Fang, I think, is
Right,
actually
it's the
it.
curvy one, right? It looks like
Right.
Yeah.
yeah. So let me tell you a discovery I had today with that sword.
ooh.
I've been playing. I've had it for a week. It's been outside of the long sword. Once I switched to the Bloodhound, I've used it exclusively. So I went into the menu today, and I'm looking, and Clint, I know you keep saying my weapon level is this, my weapon level is that, and I'm like, where is he seeing this weapon level stat outside of the +1, +2, +3 armament upgrade? I don't see the stat for weapon levels, right? So I went to the item description, right, where it gives you kind of like a little lore paragraph on the sword. So while I'm reading this paragraph on the Bloodhound, it says charge the weapon, do a backward flip, putting distance between you and your enemy with a large arcing stroke, right? So I've been using that, right? I'm like, it's great.
You weren't doing the follow-up attack, were you?
I had no idea it had a follow-up attack. Vance, do
What do
you
you do
realize it
today?
has a follow-up attack?
Yeah, you see my face? I'm looking like what?
Dudes. All right, bros, listen. Weapon art. That's what we're talking about here. Your L2, which for the Bloodhound Fang is that it kind of crouches down and it shoots up that uppercut and then
Yeah.
it throws you back like 8 feet or something.
Yeah.
And you're set there. The most important part of this weapon art is that when you're doing it, you hit R2 and it throws you back in, closing the distance that you just left.
He dashes
an
back in for killing
uppercut.
blow.
And Vance, here's something I don't know we talked about before, but as a new Souls player, there's something called iframes. Iframes, if you don't understand iframes, you're going to be bad at the game. I'm just telling you that. So we're going to help that right now. Iframes are invincibility frames. Okay? When you roll, there's a split second during your roll that you cannot be damaged. It's impossible to receive damage at that midpoint of your roll.
Okay.
So depending on your burden, so there's 3 different levels, right? There's low, medium, or heavy burden. When you look at how much stuff your stuff weighs, when you're in your menu switching out your stuff, you're gonna do it. If you're really heavy and you're using too much weight for your character, you're gonna heavy roll, which means when you do your rolling animation, you're super slow and you basically fall over and roll. You almost never ever want to be heavy rolling because the amount of invincibility frames, iframes you get is super tiny. The best, what most people do, is the medium ground, where they have the medium load. They get that full invincibility frame for when they're doing their roll, but they can still have armor and weapons and everything like that. Some people take off all their armor, just have a weapon, and then they'll have low character weight, and they will have an extended period of time where they have invincibility frames. So when you're fighting these bosses and they do like a sweeping attack at you or something, if you time it appropriately, you can dodge right into the sweeping attack and not take damage. It'll just go through you. That's a very common thing. So if you're having issues with these fights, iframes are your friend. And when you use that weapon art for the Bloodhound Fang, you get iframes as you're teleporting back and as you're teleporting forward. So what I do a lot of times with that is, even if I know that they're just out of range of me, I will do the weapon art. As they're approaching me, they will hurry up because now I've created distance, and then I would do the heavy attack and I would swoop back in and get the damage on the second one, and then just follow up with light attack. A lot of weapons have that follow up on the weapon art to do additional damage, where like the weapon art is half of it, like the L2 is half of what they're offering you. So that's a big deal, man.
Interesting.
Hey,
Interesting.
yeah, I read that today and I was like, huh. And I went and I started doing it, and it's a pretty vicious blow. Like if
Beat
you
the
can,
entire game with
if you
just that sword.
successfully hit with both, I mean, you're taking like 90%. It's huge. I've killed
Yeah.
2 bosses today with that combo. Like,
Yeah,
Nice.
that is for like, from what I've determined in my playthroughs, and I've started a lot more than 3 characters. I just kind of, I have to decide like what kind of build am I going to do, and is this build different enough than my last one where I'm having fun with it, or do I want to try something else? So I've been messing around with a few characters, but the that Bloodhound Fang is probably like the best early game weapon that you can find. Like, it's right there close to home. You can get it as like without leveling up at all. You can get it if you can beat the fight or get the summon, the snapping with to
the
Blod
summon
or
is
whatever his name is.
like the summon is so easy. Like if you get
You got to
the
talk to
guy,
Santa Claus again. I literally talked to the
guy to
entire
come
world. I
in
could not
and
remember
help
who it
you,
was.
like he literally does the fight for you. Like you basically don't have to do anything.
Dude, I went in there and I beat that guy the old-fashioned way, okay? And I beat him every time I played against. I've beaten that guy like 5 times because I've had enough early game characters get to that point. Every single time I've just beating him, I've beaten him solo, like without any help.
Yeah. Hey, it's so funny because like I remember Tony telling me about it, and I was like, "Oh, let me see." So yeah, so like it's literally this simple. You go to Misty Wood, you look up, you pretty much teleport back to the Santa Claus guy. You ask him about the whistling. He gives you the snap. You go back, you look up, you snap, and he's like, "Hey, I'll kill this dude. Go find him." You find a dude, summon the guy, and stand in the corner. And he's working him. And I was like, man, this is the easiest boss fight ever.
So that's the thing. Like on my playthrough that I'm doing, like my second playthrough and like my one that I'm doing right now, I'm not using the summons because it's more of a challenge, right? To do it without the summons or without calling in any characters. It's just like, it's more like of a truer experience because there is a summon that you guys, I don't think either of you have gotten to this area yet, but it's called the I'll just tell you, it is an achievement, so you may have looked over it. It's called the Mimic Summon. Have you guys heard of this at all?
No.
I've got Mimic something, but not the Mimic Summon.
The Mimic Summons literally calls a summons that is your exact character with your exact build. So whatever spells you have, whatever weapons you have, and it gets a healing flask. Like, it's easy mode, essentially. Like, if you use that summons, once you get it and you like level him up, he could do like he'll solo bosses for you, like this guy does in this fight. Apparently, like it there's a fall off, and it depends on how you've built your character, but he is like exceptionally good. And that is something that when you use him, it seems like it's a little bit too easy.
Never can be too easy.
I've been not using that, and I've been doing my fights, like all of my stuff with my second 2 characters without him, with minor exceptions. Like a couple of times, like when I've gotten really frustrated, like I'm like on my 3rd character that I'm playing through, I'm like level 81 or something. And I'm about, for the area that I'm in right now, I'm about 40 levels under leveled. Like, and I'm like, I just want to get into this area because I know there's some good gear. And then so the boss I was talking to you guys about the other week was Melania. And Melania, they're saying, is the hardest boss that's ever been developed by From Software. ridiculous battle. I was talking about it last week when we were talking. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to go. I feel so confident in my character. I'm about to go slaughter her after this. I won't say it was a slaughter. I did get the win.
What type of character are you playing right now?
So my current character on my third playthrough is just strength. And I'm using the sword I'm using is called the Ruin Sword. Here's a problem I have with this game. I don't progress the way that I'm supposed to through the map. So like I don't have any of the smithing stones level 1, like the regular base upgrade. And I know there's a boss I can kill to get it so I can buy them. Like one of my characters I can buy literally all of them except for the end caps. My second character I can literally buy all of them. I don't know where that boss is, and I haven't found him on this playthrough, and I haven't looked it up or whatever. So like I have to use a legendary weapon because I can buy the legendary stuff and I can find the legendary stuff a lot easier, the upgrade materials. So I'm using this Ruin Greatsword. I'm not a big fan because of the weapon art. Some of the really powerful swords in this game, weapon art just shoots a beam or it shoots something that travels across the ground, and this has that. I don't want that. I don't want anything at range. I want all of my damage to come from point blank on this build, on this character. But finding an effective sword.
So have you played
upgrade,
a magic-based character yet?
That's my first one, yeah. Actually, the one boss that I hadn't found that was an achievement, Fortisax, the like dragon or whatever, because you had to do a quest, and then by the time I found him, I was past it. I actually went back on my first character that I hadn't gone to New Game Plus with yet, and I found him, and it had taken me so long, and I had messed up the process so many times to get to this guy. I one-shot him with my mage. Like, I had gotten all the stuff from around to like build the most powerful mage you could get, and I just took literally I one-shot him, and it's like a final boss, like thousands and thousands of health. But yeah, the mage. I feel like the mage. There's so many spells in this game. Like today, I found like 2 or 3 spells I'd never seen before, and I'm constantly finding more spells.
Yeah.
Have you done any of that?
My melee character, so I'm playing the Vagabond, and I have 2 spells that I've picked up. Right, they don't require a whole lot. It's a quick heal and cure poison. Cure poison sounds pretty handy, and I used it a bunch right before we got on the podcast because I went somewhere where they were shooting poison at you constantly. So,
can I tell you that in my hours and hours of this game, I have never once cured poison, scarlet rot. I've never once cured. It's I just run through it, and it's like I'm either gonna get to a site of grace and reset, or I'll just die, and then I got that far, and I'll do better next time. And
right. Well,
whatever.
Today was the first time I actually used anything to cure a poison. I usually just run through it and try to heal through it until it goes away. But
so, what do you need as far as like to get the cure for the poison? Because everybody at work was looking, it was like, you don't have it. So I'm like, what is it that I need?
You can get that from the guy in the guy that sells faith spells.
Yeah,
in the
guy
round
that
table.
has a wagon wheel around his neck.
Yeah,
in the round table.
It's only
area.
like $1,000 or $1,500.
Yeah,
it's not
much.
It? It's cheap.
That's why I got it. I'm like, it's cheap. It doesn't require a lot of points in faith. Like literally, I have 11 points in faith, which is like 2 above what you start with, and that's enough. And it's the strength of it doesn't matter because like it cures it completely. If you on occasion we'll run through getting into a situation where you're completely just covered up in poison. Like you have a bar like as long as your health bar, and there's no way you're going to heal through it. You're probably going to die. You just got to get rid of it. So that's why I got it.
Have y'all used all your sacred tears to increase the potency of your flask?
That I forget to do that all the time. And the gold seeds to upgrade how many you get. And right now, my character that is level 80 something, I am way behind on that because I'm just jumping around to these areas that I want to go to and proceed. Like, you guys know how many different areas there are underground to go to? Do you guys know that there's quest lines that you do that unlock completely new areas that you would otherwise never ever see?
Oh
Like
yeah, I stumbled upon one. Sophia River, something like that. The one with like the blue buffalo.
Sophia River is a base. Like you don't have to do a quest to get down there, but
Yeah.
there are underground areas. I think there's three. Other than that area, three completely separate areas that are all underground. And one of them, you have to do a whole quest line that involves invading other like people, like I would invade you guys or whatever. You have to do multiple invasions and progress this quest through these quest line. And when you finish the quest line, this part of it, this guy gives you an item, and the item transports you magically from wherever you are underground to this area. And there's like one of the shard bearer bosses down there and a bunch of other stuff. Like
Mm.
one of my characters is like a level 151 or 152 or something like that. And there's an area I go to that I had to warp with. I had to do this quest to get this area unlocked, and I'll literally get like 60,000 runes every like 15 seconds. So I use that to like, oh, I need to just level up a few more levels to get to where I want to be on these things. So I just went there, and it's like 140,000 runes or something like that to upgrade to the next level, to level up.
Right.
And I'll knock that out in like a minute or two doing this little farm. But you can't get there unless you do this quest line. Like there's so much of that.
Yeah, see, like I got these cookbooks and stuff like that, but it's like I want to figure out like what this stuff is. Is like everything that I've picked up, like the flowers and mushrooms and
Yeah, materials. Yeah.
yeah, like I haven't used not one. And I know the grave glowwort is used for something.
That's to upgrade your summons.
Okay, yeah, my spirits. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So there's that, and there's the ghost grave glowwort, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, I got that. I got the 1, 2, and 3.
so that one is for legendary level summons. So I would
Yeah,
suggest
I'm good.
holding those for when you
Yeah,
get the mimic, the
yeah,
mimic summons, because that's gonna make it really is easy mode for the. And I like my first playthrough, 100%. I was using anything I could get to get through it because I
yeah.
found it like I was way too excited. Like I beat the entire game. My first character is like a level 100. They're suggesting like level 130, 150 to beat it.
Mm.
But using that summons bridge the gap. You know, hard.
Wow. I'm level 74 right now. And yeah, I mean, I was in an area that I thought I was leveled up for, then I just got smacked down.
There's no the cap is 710. You can actually have 99 in every category. But
Mm.
I don't know what the cost would be, but for sure
A million runes.
no,
Right.
I think to get to like at like level 300 or 350 is where it starts costing around 1,000,000 runes. It's somewhere in there.
Holy crap.
So for perspective, the final boss of the game on regular game, right? So not new game plus, gives 500,000 runes when you beat them. What you can do if you time it appropriately, there's a talisman that boosts it like by 20% how much you get. You can put that on. You could get one of those like gold chicken foot whatever things, and I think that doubles it or something like that. So I've done this before when I was about to beat a boss, like right before the end boss. I felt like I needed to get some quick levels, but I knew these guys are going to give me like 200 or 300,000. I would, right at the end, as soon as I kill him, I'd go into my inventory, switch out my talisman to the one that gives me bonus, and I'd pop the thing. I'd have it in my inventory ready to be popped. And so I've been able to get like 400,000 instead of 250 or whatever. I don't know. Like New Game Plus, I basically went in on my second playthrough character. I started New Game Plus, and I went to an area that I knew there was a talisman, and it was the exact same talisman as the first one.
So the new characters that you you started in New Game Plus?
Yeah, so my second character I built was the one that I used that Bloodhound Fang to go all the way through with. It's a quality build, right? So it is strength and dexterity.
Right.
It's both those stats because that sword particularly scales well in both. I can't remember which one it scales better in, but it's got good weapon scaling for both. So I did the quality build, and I beat the game. I already beat it the first time. on my other character, I found so many things in the second playthrough I hadn't found, and I wanted to know if I start New Game Plus, is it going to be all the same gear, or am I going to get upgraded? Because that was the thing in old Souls games. Oh, well, this one is, Fire Drake Talisman, whatever. But if you go to New Game Plus, it's Fire Drake Talisman +1, right? You get the upgraded, like the next level version of it. And right at the beginning, there's that shadow wall right when you start, and I went in there, and there's a talisman in there. I went and got it, and it was literally the exact same one I'd already gotten in regular game. And so I'm like, what's the point? Is there upgraded stuff in this, or am I just starting this over? Because if I'm just starting it over, I'll play another character, another build, and try that out. And that's what I ended up doing.
So Vance, did you change your talisman out for certain situations? You probably don't have a lot of talisman at your level, but
Nah. Yeah, I don't think so. Like talisman. Like where would I find it at? See, I don't even know where that's even at.
so in your equipment category, you would scroll down below all your armor and your weapons and stuff, and there's like
Okay.
2 slots that are sitting there right above your quick.
It might just be one for him.
Okay, yeah, no, yeah. I got the 2 slots,
yeah.
but no.
You get up to 4 slots, by the way. You'll get
Okay.
more talismans unlocked as you play through the game.
Yeah,
You probably have one that says increased hit points or something. I think that was the one I started off with.
If you started with that, the Crimson Medallion, but that's bad. It gives you like next to nothing.
Yeah, I started off with the golden seed.
Later in the game, your first one, it takes like 1 golden seed to add a flask.
Right.
And then I don't know how many, it's only 1, but then it goes to 2.
Right.
And then you need, I don't even know if it's 3, but you'll need 4 golden seeds to do a new flask. And where I'm at now, I need 5 golden seeds to turn into 1 flask.
Yeah, how many flasks do you have total?
So the character I'm playing right now, I have 13. But I think you can have 14 flasks, but I don't think I have 14 on any of my characters. I haven't found, I think you might have to find all of them in the game. I don't know. That's pure conjecture, but I think I have 12 or 13 on all of them, but I don't have all of the tier upgrades. So like, I think they'll go up to +12, like the flasks, and mine right now is like a +6 on my character I'm playing, which is, I know I have higher on another one, but +6 does not cut it at this point where I am in the game. Like if I'm taking hits, it's bad.
You're talking about
Right.
+6 as far as the effectiveness of the flask?
Yeah, how much it heals or how much FP it gives you.
All right, yeah. I've got 7 healing flasks, 2 for magic, and 1 for the mixing of the 2 magic.
Physic or whatever, that doesn't count towards the number that you get.
I wasn't sure if that at some point you were able to add to that.
No, that you just get the 1. But you get the different tiers.
Yeah.
Tears. You get the different ones. And there's a bunch of those. My first playthrough, I probably found like 14 or 15 of them that you can mix.
Yeah.
My second playthrough, I think I beat the game and I had found 3 of them because I played the game that much differently. And 2 of them I hadn't even found in my first one, like it's kind of crazy how big the world is.
Okay. I mean, you know what, so both y'all have been through with the castle or whatever like that. And the little spider looking monster, Sicken Psychon, I don't know how you pronounce his name. So how did y'all beat it?
Which one? You're talking about in the very beginning, that monster that you see?
No, it's like once you go through the castle and like you go down, it's like before you go to the part where like the guys with all the archers and stuff, there's like a little monster that's like going back and forth, and it has like a big shield and has like a long reach. It looks like a little
it's the
spider
same
thing.
type of monster that you see in the tutorial that kills you before you like start the game. It's the same guy. That is one thing, by the way. Like, I think there's like 83 unique bosses in the game, but there's like 160 boss fights or something like that, because a lot of them get reused. Like bosses that you'll fight, like that guy was the first boss you see, and he's a regular character later. That's normal. Like some of these bosses that you fight will return in later areas of the game, and there'll be multiple of them, and they're just the regular mobs in that area. That guy, I mean, you just murder him, or you run away from him. And I have done it both ways, depending on.
I don't think I even fought that guy. I
Yeah,
don't remember
yeah. The
fighting
first
that
time I seen him, yeah, I just ran through. But I was watching somebody play. It was like, but once you kill him, he doesn't like reappear. Even if you die, he doesn't whatever
Yeah,
like
guy.
that.
Yeah.
So
there's
also,
several areas that
yeah,
there are guys like that where, like, I went to one earlier today. It was
yeah,
actually in the mountaintop of giants. We were asking you about that. And I went to. There's these two like lions with swords. Like, they're ridiculous. And they're very difficult, and they're very aggressive. And I'm underleveled, so I'm 20 feet away from them at the bonfire, the Grace, and I pop my physic and I get all my stuff and I call my mimic. I'm like, let's just take these guys out because I gotta run through here every time I'm gonna die, and I'm underleveled, you know. And it took me 10 minutes probably to kill those two guys,
mm,
just trying to get away. But once I killed them, they were gone, and that is a
yeah,
thing that makes it a
But for
lot
the
yeah.
easier.
ones for the areas that respawn, like with the regular mobs, like when I was going to the academy to fight the boss there, um, there's an area where I cleared I cleared out to open a door for a shortcut to the boss, right from the Point of Grace. But there was a whole bunch of dudes
Yeah,
that,
like 6 or 8 of them, or
yeah,
not 10 of
that
them even.
magic
Yeah,
casters.
yeah.
Yeah, and those
The
guys are
Academy of
horrible.
Rhea Lucaria. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so instead of just having to fight your way through those guys every single time when you fail the boss fight, uh, just run past them. Like, there are points in the game or any of the type of From Software games where they make it where you can just run past them. You just got to find the path. Like, even before that, there's a section where there's like a mini boss before that where all the guys have their backs turned to you, and you can literally sneak past them to get to the boss door. Like, you don't have to fight. You can either sneak or just run for it to save your flask and stuff like that.
Here's what I do. Almost always, if it's an area that I'm not familiar with, like even today, again, I'm about 40 levels underleveled for where I'm supposed to be, but I have my weapon all the way upgraded. So when I start out, it's the Halig Tree area. It's the area where you have to use a secret thing to get there, and then that's where the Millennia boss fight is. So I wanted to do that on this playthrough because I'm thinking about trying to get that ending on this playthrough, and I want to beat her again without the summon. But I started out and I'm going through, and I killed 16, 17 guys. Every guy I came across when I started making my way into it. And just from that, I had 50,000 runes, which was a level and a half for me or something probably. And then as soon as I get to an area that had these two of these crazy knights that are ridiculous, their movement is difficult to track, I got murdered.
Mm.
And I thought, okay, well, I fought my way through once. I'm running through now. That's basically how I do it every time. It's like, I don't care if I'm running through and I die 30 times. That's more time efficient to me than killing all the guys twice for some reason. Because killing them is so time consuming. And it's like, I've already done it. I literally just killed them all. I'm not doing it again. And so I'll just start running by. I lost that 50,000 runes like immediately. How many runes have you guys lost, do you think, total?
Oh, a few 100,000.
Well, I probably lost like 16,000.
I
I'm
lose them in
very
chunks of like 8,000.
I
Yeah.
feel like
6,000.
I today I lost 150,000 because I forgot to upgrade before I started running into an area, and I'm way underleveled, so I'm getting one shot by everything, which I hate. That it's like, I know that I need to be playing differently than I'm playing, but I'm not. I don't know how they want me to play. Like the grave cloveworts you're talking about, Vance.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pick up a single level 1 in my playthrough, and I'm a level 80. So if I wanted to upgrade my thing, I couldn't. because I never ever picked one up, because wherever those are, I skipped them in my playthrough.
I'm gonna tell you what, something that's something that's annoying because it's counterintuitive to what you'd think would happen. So there's an area that I farm. When I get bored or I'm running up against a wall, I need a couple of levels. Over in Kaled, it's right outside that bestiary place. There's a bunch of little dudes that patrol around, and you kill them, and you get like 1,200 runes off of them. And it's there's enough of them there where you can just do a circuit and have enough to level up in one circuit. But you do have to be careful with them, because if they get a hit in on you, they can take most of your life or kill you pretty easily. So I'll do my circuit. I'll come in. I'll swing in behind them. I'll get the first lick on them. I'll stun lock them basically, and then finish them off. Well, I got greedy and decided, like, you know what? I can do this faster, right? So, and there's a spot where there's like 3 of them that kind of linger, that patrol in between each other. So usually I have to like kite one away. I'm like, I don't want to kite. I want to just overwhelm this guy. So I pulled out my little ash wolves, right? And I go in. I'm like, okay, I got, and I even buffed myself up, with some of the stuff I had under my flask. And like I go in there and I was like, we should overwhelm these dudes, right? If I'm killing these dudes by myself, we should overwhelm them. Let me tell you, it doesn't work out that way.
You got murdered so hard.
Because I got murdered every single time I tried it, because it introduces an element of chaos to the fight.
Yep.
And you have no idea what the heck is going on. And next thing you know, there's a dude stabbing you in the back that you're wondering, how the heck did he get over there? Because one of your wolf buddies just threw him over there. So, needless to say, I just went back to the solo circuit.
You haven't discovered the boulder right next to where you are, huh?
The boulder?
So
yeah.
Oh,
yeah, the boulder. I know what you're talking about.
Do you know? So that's right by Linnaeus Rise. Do you know that if you're looking at the boulder when it goes over the cliff, it gives you 1,900 runes?
Yeah, that's the little glitch everybody at work was trying to tell me about, and I was just like, yeah, Tony, that was the one I told you I had to run past like 1,000 dragons and all that.
It gives you 1,900 runes the one time it goes over the cliff, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
but
you can go down a little bit
farming.
farther, and there's another one that goes off that's 1,900. But what I've done is you can watch it go off the cliff, hit your button, go back to the bonfire you were just at, go down the hill again, and get another 1,900 runes super quick. I'll like, that's part of it. I didn't do that at all on this third character because I thought I wanted to more naturally progress.
Right.
But I also go and kill that big dragon, and I pop a thing, and I get like 90,000 runes from killing him. Early game, I get that.
I saw the boulder. I had no idea that that's what people were doing, and I saw it go down the road and stuff. But I don't incorporate that in the circuit that I do, because I feel like it's more time consuming for me to go over there to that point. There's 3 guys that stand right in front of that rock, so then I have to get involved in kiting those guys one at a time.
There's a point of grace 100 yards from where that drops down, right by the Linnaeus Rise. That's up there.
Oh yeah, I've got that. I just activated that one, but I don't know. It seems a little bit longer, but still.
No, literally, what you do is you rested it. You go down the hill 100 yards. It spawns in behind you. You do a quick loop. You watch it go over the side. Get your 1,900. Teleport back. So it is faster because both these ways have been looked at, because I've been Googling things and YouTubing things after I beat the game. But that's not the way it's supposed to be played. Like, I didn't do that at all on my third playthrough. My second playthrough, I did that. I killed the dragon right away. There's a big dragon near you next to Fort Pharaoh. And I made sure to get the pickled gold whatever foul thing so I could double my stuff. Like, and I used a bleed weapon on him. Like, you could get leveled up really fast that way, but that is not what was intended. And so I'm trying to find out what is the path I'm supposed to be taking when I play this game, because Margit, that first boss, I was able to beat it on my level 1 character. Like, literally ran right over there and beat it. but you're not supposed to, I don't think. So I think you're supposed, and like there's that big dragon that's right in the lake right next to you, and the ruins right next to it teleports you to that Stelia cave, which is way higher level than you. But what I do know is that if you go out to the beach, there's that coastal cave, and that you could do right away and beat
Mm-hmm.
that boss. It's a 2 boss thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets you over, and then you can go to the dragon communion place, the little island. If you go past the boss, you could go through there. So that is early game stuff. And then I know if you go over towards like the War Master Shack, there's that Deathrite bird or whatever. He could be beat early. If you go north of there, there's that NPC invader that you could get like a thing to be able to invade. You could do that guy. But then if you start going east towards Kaled, towards all that, you pretty quickly get out of the area where you're level appropriate. But you could go over to like the Third Church of America, whatever, get your physic, and then go south, and there's like Fort Hyatt and all height, whatever. All of that stuff is still early game. You could do all that, and you could do this Weeping Peninsula, whatever, down below, down south. You could do all that really low level. Am I supposed to then go beat Margit and beat whatever the first shard bearer's name? Am I supposed to beat those guys next and then progress up that way? Like, I don't know how they want me to travel in this game.
Right.
So I'm always misaligning my level with where I'm supposed to be.
That's what has me confused a little bit with the map, because I did what you I went east, right? When I played from Stormwind, whatever the heck, that Stormwell Castle, whatever. I went into Kaled. I did a lot of stuff from there down into the Mistwood and stuff like that. And I just did circuits all the way around there, just looking at stuff, trying to discover everything I could find in an area. So I did a ton of exploration in the starting area and everything east, even through Kaled. I went deep into Kaled as a low level. I beat the first boss, and I went through the main castle and beat that guy. And then I'm up in north of the castle area, and I feel like that Luclid area, the swampy area, where the Arcane Academy is, that huge area.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it feels like should have been part of the starting area. Those guys aren't very difficult, just the normal dudes walking around. Like, I feel like they're the same as the people that were in the starting area.
So I think you're right. So I did do that. I went and did the areas I talked about, and I went south to the Weeping Peninsula. Then I went up and I did the bosses, and then I did the Rhea Lucaria Academy. Did you beat Renala yet? The shard bearer?
Yeah, that'd be her.
Okay. And then she stops there, but the teleporter right outside takes you to Altus Plateau, right?
Right.
And then Altus Plateau, you could go from there. You can go to like the Mountaintop of the Giants, Volcano Manor, and all that from there. I feel like that's reasonable at that level, but like, I feel like Altus Plateau is higher level, like a big jump in difficulty from the Rhea Lucaria Academy.
It's weird because like I went down the road, I got off the lift, I went straight down the road toward those big doors where the next tree sentinel guy is.
2 of them, by the way, if you didn't notice that.
Well, I didn't. That must have got me. That must have been who got me, because I got one-shotted by somebody on the road. Like, I didn't even see where it came from. Next thing I know, I was dead. I'm like, one hit, I was dead. I was like, okay, level is way higher here. But then when I came back from my corpse run, and I had not activated the grace point on the plateau yet, so I need to start from the lift. I got up. Let me go find like a grace point, so I'll have a point that I can spawn back from. There's like some ruins right to the left of the road, right after you get off the lift, and it's got like those monkey guys. I can't remember what they're called, and they were easy. Their level was no different to me than Lucaria or the starting area. I'm confused by how the allocation of the levels of enemies is done on the map, because it's like this huge range. It's confusing because it makes me think I'm not in the right area.
And that's like really what I'm trying to figure out in this playthrough I'm doing now. Like, and it seems like I'm failing like pretty bad at it. Like, just finding what is the proper progression of the game. So have you fought Radahn yet? Have you been to Redmane Castle and fought Radon.
No.
That is a big point in the story. It's like a pivot point, and he is a hard fight. That's why I was texting you guys yesterday that I was struggling with him. And my second character, I literally beat him on the first try with that sword you guys are using, the Bloodhound Fang sword. And just my quality build was so sound, destroyed him. My strength build that I'm doing, man, like in order to use the weapons that I wanted to use, the colossal weapons, like I jumped right to the colossal weapons, and all of my other stats suffered horribly because I had to put so much in strength. So it was like, even though I was probably maybe the appropriate numeric level, my stats were like so underleveled. The early mid game has been a lot more difficult with the strength build than the quality build, which was essentially every time with the quality build, it was I got my 22 strength and 18 dex or whatever it took for the sword, and then everything else is going vitality, endurance, all the mind, so I could do my weapon art, and I got to be a really strong character, and then I went back to put in more into strength and dexterity to like level that up. Oh, through a couple of the faiths, so I could do this or that.
Yeah. I feel that's kind of how I'm doing right now. Like my character, like I said, I'm 74. I have 40 in the strength. I have 23 into dexterity, which allows me to use some weapon I just got. I can't remember what it was, which I haven't used it, but I wanted to be able to use it. But 23 dexterity, I think 20 endurance. Everything else I put in like I don't care.
What's your vitality? Your vigor or whatever?
Oh yeah, my vitality is 29.
So I'm gonna tell you, if I'm using your build and you're using that sword and you beat Rhea Lucaria, you know that she lets you respec, right?
Right. Yeah.
If you start finding you have issues, I would take a bunch of that out of strength, because you're scaling. You know, when you look at your weapon damage, there's two numbers. There's the weapon damage number, and then there's a plus, and then there's a second number. That second number is the amount of damage you're getting from the weapon's scaling. So if it's like a C for strength, that second number is the amount of damage you're getting because of how much strength you have. So what the difference of that number is going to be, whether you're at 25 strength or 40 strength, is probably negligible. When that same 15 points in vigor could make you feel invincible, you know?
Right.
So if you start having trouble or feeling that, like, I think the soft cap they're saying is like 40. So like 40 vigor is like for the mages and stuff like that. Like if you're a mage and you're trying to stay long distance, 40.
Right.
You know, like, because you still need to be able to absorb those hits, and that's like the biggest issue in the game, is that, especially given you've never played.
If I didn't, I mean, I basically I have like 1,035 HP. It's not the point. I usually have more than that in From Software games. I'm usually sitting like 1,300, probably a little bit more, but 1,000 is where I've been sitting at. I've emphasized shield usage. If I didn't have that shield, I would be murdered constantly. But that shield makes a huge difference.
That's what made all the difference for me in that second playthrough I did with the Vagabond. Vance, did you get yourself a good shield yet? 100% block shield?
I got that brass shield.
I can't think which one the brass shield is.
That's the one that's like, what is it, like triangle shape?
The kite shield. That's the one I use.
I think that's 100% physical damage.
Yeah.
That's all the difference. So you need to use that shield, and then you need to use your iframes.
Right.
The thing that I'm doing now with my strength build, no shield, because I don't have the stats for a shield. I don't have enough endurance to be able to like carry around my super heavy weapon and wear armor and have a shield, you know? And so I'm having to rely exclusively on movement in every fight I'm in. And so that's also been a frustration, because being able to rely on that shield in my second playthrough was like easy mode. That playthrough, the way that you guys are speccing in using that shield, or using a shield and using that sword, it was so simple compared to my mage, which was super difficult and a horrible idea for a brand new game where everything is a harder boss than all these other games, and their move sets are that much crazier than they've ever been. Doing that as the first playthrough, horrible and very difficult. Second playthrough, actually using an appropriate build, felt like a rock star the whole playthrough.
Yeah.
Like I literally just went through and annihilated all content. Like the only thing I had trouble with was Melania, but I still beat her. It was the top most difficult bosses in Elden Ring, and number one is Melania. It says, I commend the Elden Ring team for trying something this bold, and I kindly ask that they never think of designing a boss like Melania again. Literally every time she makes contact with you or your shield, or if you have a summon or whatever, she heals herself a ridiculous amount. Like it is, and her attacks are ridiculous. I have the sword. Like when I beat her, I went and got the sword that she has, and the weapon art is it's literally like I was in watching someone do a live stream, and they were talking about Melania. They're like, "Oh, she'd be a great boss if she didn't do that one move." And then I knew exactly what he was talking about, exactly immediately. And then someone asked in the chat, they're like, "What move are you talking about?" The guy's like, "You must not have fought Melania." Like, and it was like, of course, because anyone that's fought her would never ever ask what that move is, because it is for the most part unblockable, because it'll stagger you down, and once it staggers you down, plenty left in her tank to absolutely murder you 4 times with the amount of hits she's going to hit you with after that.
Oh.
And the amount of distance that she covers with it, and the fact that if you get hit by any single one of her probably 20 or 30 swings, it's going to heal her for 15% of her health, each one of them.
Crazy.
The mechanics of the Melania boss fight are outrageous. But I've seen a guy, and I was talking about this before, I saw a guy who beat her on a level 1 wretch. Literally did not take any damage the entire time, because he played it perfectly. And that is the thing that is different about From Software, is that if you do a fight perfectly at any level, you can beat it. And so that's what makes like that boss is so frustrating. But if you play it perfectly, or as close to perfect as it takes to get the win, but you could get the win. Yeah. So I would go in there, and I could tell you, I'd have times where, and she's got 2 phases, and I could tell you I got the first phase, instantly died as soon as the second phase started, so many times. And then I'd go in and I'd start the phase 1 again, and I'd be instantly murdered before I'd do any damage. And then I'd go and finish that phase, and then I'd almost get to the end of phase 2, and then I'd go back to phase 1 because I got murdered and I'd die right away. Like there's not room for mistakes in this type of game. But if you can keep yourself from making mistakes, you can beat it. And the feeling, it's like you hate the game so much when you're losing. It's like Warzone. If I'm not winning, it's the worst game ever. But if I'm winning, it's amazing.
Right.
And it's otherworldly feeling. And that's like beating Melania. That's how that feels, man. Just like they did so much to make her impossible, but I could do it, you know, and that feeling is just awesome. Yeah. So very, very rewarding. I don't remember the hours that I spent losing to her. I remember that fleeting moment after I won, and when I went and bought that sword and leveled it all the way up to plus 10 right away.
So you have the We Are the Champions queued up when you beat her?
I did that on a podcast a long time ago, didn't I? Oh, wait, was that a stream? I used to do that. I had that where I'd play that. I played that on something. Yeah, we'll add it in post, Tony. It's cool.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here. Elden Ring chit chat, just us kick back talking about Elden Ring. So thanks for joining us, and we'll do another one. I've actually kind of enjoyed this format, so we'll probably end up doing another one, depending on the response that we get on this one. All right. So again, thanks for dropping by, and we'll check you guys out later. Again, thanks for listening to Good2Game Radio.
Later,
dudes.